closure on Thursday and take any closure questions. We'll probably take closure questions any day this week that you want. But that's how we're doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All right, so if you don't have a blue sheet from last week, please grab one, but please don't get one if you already have one. I only make 2 extras, so all it takes is 2 of you to lose your paper, and then I'm out of extra copies, so not cool. Division with rational numbers. Yeah, and we're going to talk about why do we say rational numbers. So please check that you don't have 2 copies of 331 because as of right now, I only have 6 left for my afternoon class. I'm hoping that they all already have it. If not, we're going to be in a tricky situation. Oh, thank you. We'll even make this worth a piece of candy. Oh, I restocked some on candy. It's out in my car, but I went to the store and found the 50% off Halloween candy. Yeah. Why are rational numbers called rational numbers? Aurea? That's not really why. You're not wrong, but that's not why we call them rational. Zach?
Because they're not integers.
What is that? Okay. What do you mean?
They're not whole.
Okay, what are they?
Partial.
They're rational.
Hey, so by the way, I also I try to be really honest with you guys. I don't know if I think as a kid, I'd never really had headaches much. I didn't know. As I start teaching right now, like, I literally in that moment just felt like, oh, here's my headache again. So I'm still fighting off whatever I'm fighting off while I was out yesterday. This is about as loud as you get from me today. And I'm probably not going to be as like active or exciting as normal, but I need you with me, please. So like when you're sick, your parents are probably extra nice to you, give you a super soft blanket, whatever. Just like be nice to me today, please, please. And if not, just leave. Like I don't want to deal with you. Ooh, God, you're beside each other. All right, rock paper scissors for who gets to go. Oh, you don't have the answer.
I actually spilled water on myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, do whatever. Yeah, always. You guys are always welcome to do whatever you need.
Maybe it's because
Put it away.
part of it's called ratio, and ratio is part of the numbers.
If you can't think of this right now, which I would have expected that if you can think of it, you would have raised your hand wanting that piece of candy, write down the word rational numbers, whether it's in your header or wherever it is, and then underline, or if you have a highlighter, highlight the word ratio. Rational numbers are called rational numbers because they can be written as a ratio. For example, the number, quote unquote, that a lot of us don't like, I gotta figure out where Kabilo left my pen from this morning, of 0.3 repeating forever. This is an ugly number, quote unquote, a bad number, quote unquote. Like, we have a lot of ways we can talk about this, but that's actually equal to the value of 1/3, which is a nice number. It's easy to work with. We can deal with 1/3. Rational numbers, and both of those representations are the same number, right? 0.3 repeating is the same as 1/3, but 1/3 is a much nicer way of talking about it. So a ratio means the same thing as, what word could I replace ratio with? Fraction. So please write on your paper, rational numbers. Just mean fractions. It means anything that can be a fraction. Now, I'm going to give back your mini masteries today. I will tell you, one person got an exemplary. One person got a mastery. Everybody else made some kind of mistake. Because I know you won't like it when I tell you this, but to master that, you essentially needed to make no mistakes. So we'll get that back. It's not in math yet, but all you have to do to take it from progressing to mastery is fix what you did wrong. A lot of you tried way too hard on some of these problems dealing with fractions. So please be with me today. I know I have some people, especially early in the morning, it's hard to engage that brain and say, okay, it's time to learn now. Tell your brain it's time to learn. I want you to have an easier job later. So please pay attention now to make sure we have that easier job later. So any division can actually be written as a rational number. So 2/8 or 2 divided by 8 can be written as 2/8, which,
on our blue paper.
yes. Oh, sorry, thank you for that reminder. So always look if, like we said, if it says examples from class, keep out your blue paper, which almost always I try to squeeze some examples from class. This is on your blue paper, so please write down what I'm writing down. 2 divided by 8 means the same thing as 2/8, which means the same thing as 1/4, because we know how to reduce. End of class, like end of this period. Yeah. So progressing could have meant you missed everything or you missed one thing. Literally, like there's a whole range of progressing.
Then how did somebody give an exemplary? Yeah.
So one person had a tiny mistake of how many terms there were in the problem. I gave them a mastery, but they didn't count the terms right. The other person made no mistakes at all. Everything was great, and their work was showing out fantastically. It's tough to get exemplary for me. I maybe give out 1 or 2 per test. Now I don't limit it to 1 or 2, but most of the time people, make a mistake, and this person didn't. I don't want to embarrass them, but I think they would not be embarrassed if I.
So then 2 people out of like the entire semester.
2 people did not get. Not done with the afternoon class yet. Funny story about being sick. I kept telling myself yesterday that I was going to grade tests, and then every time I looked at them, my headache was like, nope, just lay back down. So try 2 and 3 on your own. Turn those divisions into rational numbers. How is double I different than I and triple I? Alright?
Because double I is kind of complicated to divide it equally because they don't really go evenly separately.
What's different about the fraction in double I agree with you, but like straight up, what about the fraction immediately is like, oh, it's different.
It's improper.
It's improper. Now, improper doesn't mean bad. I don't really like the word improper because most of the time when someone's like, that's improper, they're telling you what you did is wrong. Improper fractions are great. But if we wanted to make this not improper, we need to convert it back to mixed. Who can talk me through that process? You volunteering, Sarah? Because you're talking back there. No? Toby?
Probably take 70 and divide it by 5.
Ooh, why 70?
Well, because it's easier to divide 70 by 5 and then add 2 than try to take 72 and divide by 5.
So Toby, like every person with a great brain on their shoulders, wants to make his job easier. 72 is gross. Well, not gross, but 72 is not nice with 5. 70 is. Now 72 is actually like 6 dozens, so it's kind of a fun number. But yeah, so we take 70. What's 70 divided by 5? Well, with 70, break it up. It's 50 and 20. What's 50 divided by 5? 10. 20 divided by 5, 4. So this is 14. And how many did we have left over from the numerator? 2. So mixed numbers are also rational values because they're the same thing as this. Now, 14 and 2/5 could also be written as 14 and 4/10. Why did I put it over 10 now? Do you know where I'm going? What am I going to convert this?
You're trying to make it like a decimal.
So there are a couple of us in here that still need a reminder. I'm not going to call people out, but a denominator of 5 cannot convert into a decimal. A denominator of 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, any of those can. So remember, we cannot just straight up convert into a decimal unless we have an appropriate denominator. And then in 51 and 94, what can it reduce by? 3 won't work. 3 would work with the 51, but it doesn't work with the 94. It might not reduce by anything. So, now really, does anything even up here say reduce or simplify? So, all of this was us just remembering, oh yeah, a decimal is a rational number also, but 51/94, we're good with that. Don't try too hard. And improper fractions, we're also good with improper fractions. Like, improper fractions are fine. So, with negatives, and this is where a lot of people get confused. Is this on your blue sheet still?
Well, no.
Oh, let's circle back to C. I think we've talked about this, but I want to make sure that we formally talk about it. Why can't the denominator be 0?
You can't divide by 0.
Why? Like, you can say that all day long, but why?
Because if you're like trying to give cookies out and you have none, you can't give any cookies out.
No, I can do that. I'm doing that right now. I'm distributing 0 cookies to the 20-some people in here.
Yummy. Delicious.
That was to raise it up. It has one of those cool doodads. Savannah, why can't I divide by 0?
Okay. Imagine you divide by 0. Imagine you have 0 cookies and you have 0 friends. And try to divide the 0 cookies among your 0 friends. See? It doesn't make sense. The Cookie Monster is sad because he has no cookies, and you are sad because you have no cookies.
You like quoting the YouTube video or something? So, oh yeah, I forgot. Back when I had an iPhone, I did that in class. But, so, not even if you have 0 friends. I could have, let's say, 7 friends.
Whoa.
Or sorry, no, I could have, let's say I have 7 cookies. It's a great day. I have 7 cookies, but I have no friends. 7 cookies. Now hold on.
I'm just gonna eat them all.
I have 7 cookies, right? And Zach just said it. Zach said, I'm just gonna eat the cookies. Absolutely, man. But that's this. That's 7 divided to me. 7 cookies for me. 7 divided by 0 means I have 7 cookies, but nobody gets them.
Who made the cookies?
We wouldn't do this. That's a waste of cookies. So, if you want to write on your paper, like, 7 cookies divided by 0 people, this doesn't make sense. There's no way. Like, somebody's got the cookies. Even if it's the dog that's eating out of the trash, like, somebody's got the cookies. There's no physical way for nobody. You what? Yeah. Alright, so, with negatives though, does that make sense? Sorry, do we have any questions on that? Why you can't have 0 in the denominator? So guys, anytime you have a number, not hashtag, divided by 0, that answer is actually that symbol. You might want to jot that down in your notes. That means undefined. Undefined. That means this is impossible. Undefined. That's like your parents when they're trying to be real motivational. Nothing's impossible. Muller. No, you can't. Now you science will help guide you into what you best should be. Alright, with negatives. And guys, this often confuses people. It doesn't matter where the negative is. So please, on your paper, write down that negative 2 divided by 3. Notice how my negative is right in the same level as my fraction bar. Or negative 2 divided by 3. Or 2 divided by negative 3. All of those are equal because there's only one negative. Whether it's in the top, bottom, or out front, doesn't matter. You could also even, to make sure that we don't miss any, have negative parentheses. 2/3. That's also the same. Now, if there are multiple negatives, that's different. But this just means that my value is a negative value. And technically, if we want to talk about what this is, it's negative 0.6, repeating forever. It is a negative number. Now, personal opinion. Not right or wrong, personal opinion. I dislike that guy. why? And I already saw this on your tests. I'm pointing at the group because it wasn't all of you, but it was some of you. Why don't we like that?
Because you can get it confused with the fraction bar, and you don't know if it's a fraction bar or if it's if there's yeah.
That tiny gap becomes really important. And why would we make things harder on us? We wouldn't. Make your life easier. Either pick the top or pick the bottom. Personal opinion, this is the best. Personal opinion, because it's the first thing you see as you read the fraction, is negative 2 over 3. It's the first thing you think about. It's the hardest to ignore. Personal opinion, do it that way. Not right or wrong, personal opinion.
And do it that way possible.
I might make a class called like Math the Hudson Way and just tell you all the things of like, it's not right or wrong, but this is how I do it, so you should do it that way too.
That should be what your YouTube channel is
So,
called.
put your pencils down for me. I want you to imagine. Hey, hold on. Actually, shut your eyes for a moment. So, over at the Education Center, there, up on the second floor, if you've ever been to the Education Center, all the different like heads of departments have cubicles. And I'm walking through there one day, and Brian Genius and Tom Kay, if you ever met those guys, Brian comes over here a lot, are sitting there like, hey Micah, come over here. My first name is Micah, by the way. This is true story, 100% true story. So they're like, hey, we're talking about the new math curriculum, and we want to know, how can you explain the how behind dividing a mixed number by a fraction? So imagine me standing there in front of two essentially bosses, and I'm a math teacher that teaches division of fractions. And they're asking me, how do you explain the how we take something like 1 3/8 and divide it by 3/4? So think in your head, do you know how? Not can you get the answer, but do you know how to show what is actually happening? So now open your eyes and look up here. Hang on to that for just a second, Araya.
Okay.
1 3/8. We could go ahead and if we make this like money, that would be like $1.13 approximately. Or no, sorry, 38. It's like $1.38. Kind of. But instead, let's make this pizzas, right? So hold on. I would like you, either on your graph paper, I don't think this is on your blue paper, draw 1 3/8 pizzas, right? So I might as well actually use red.
It would be a box. I need a perfect
I'm not cheating, I'm using my resources.
Mr. Hudson, it would be $1.37.
We're not going to do money. Sorry, that was a bad suggestion. Money is a bad suggestion. You can. You are always welcome to come get one of these, which we've talked about, is a shapes template. It will let you draw perfect circles. They live over here forever and always. 1 3/8.
My circle is always waiting. I think I'll
Actually, my circles are not that.
1 3/8. So I have to put
That's the fact.
okay, 1.
Whoa, that's a lot of red.
Alright, my black X is up here a bit eaten. Right, my black X is up here a bit eaten. Or if you live a sad life with life like I do and your wife likes mushrooms and you don't, those maybe have mushrooms on them or something. By the way, worst Domino's experience ever, and actually maybe I should call them and complain now that they have carry-out insurance. They accidentally put anchovies on my pizza. I'm not joking. They accidentally put anchovies on there. Do you agree with me that we have one whole pizza and 3 extra
Go to
slices.
the local places.
Do you agree with me that we have 1 3/8 shown here?
Yes.
We now are going to divide that. Let's say I'm packing leftovers. I know that when I'm at school and I want my leftovers, I want 3/4 of the pizza. Now, don't judge me. I'm making this up for the math problem. I don't actually eat that much when I eat leftovers. So I pack up for Monday or whatever the first day is, 3/4 of the pizza. So there's 1/4. There's 2/4. And there's 3/4. I'm able to take an entire 3/4 with me to work. Okay? Are we with me? Okay, now put your pencil down for a second and just give me your eyes. I should have every eyeball in here up on me, which for some people would make you real nervous. I'm going to work the next day. I want to pack up another 3/4 of the pizza. Hold on. This is blue now. Here's 1/4. Okay, 1/4. Here's another 4th. Okay. Do I have enough to make my whole 3/4? No. So now what I ask myself is, I wanted 3/4. Right? I wanted 3/4 of the pizza. To get 3/4 of the pizza, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slices. Right? Now stop me when you're confused, because this is weird. And like, put yourself in my shoes. They were making me figure this out on the spot over at the WEC. They're like, okay, think through this with us. Come on, you can solve this. It was a very stressful moment. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more slices. So what I really had was an entire lunch, right? Like an entire leftovers that I wanted, and 5 out of the 6 leftovers that I was looking for. Right? But that's weird. So we have a couple different sets of work here. Right? We have Madison, we have Hugh, and then we have another problem to solve. So stop for a moment, because I bet you're confused right now. Alright?
Why is the denominator changed to 6?
I know, right?
Yeah,
What the heck?
What?
What other questions do we have? I'll answer all of them, but I want, what other questions are in your brain like, wait, what? On your paper, write 1 3/8 divided by 3/4. Now we're just going to do the math. We're not going to draw a picture. Like, we're going to do this again. 1 3/8 divided by 3/4. Now, 1 3/8, if I think through how many slices we actually have, I make it improper. So if we make it improper, come down and then go up, right? 1 times 8, then add with the 3. We get 11 slices of pizza left over. With me? 11 slices. Each slice is an eighth. So we have 11 eighths.
Yeah.
This could also be written as 11 times 1/8. Right? 11 slices, each one of them is an eighth. We get 11 eighths. Now, you don't need to do this. I'm just reminding what else we could think of. So then to take lunch, each lunch that I want to take is 3/4, but, we'll use white over here. 3/4 is not actually 3 slices of pizza. How many slices of pizza is 3/4? 6 slices, right? 6 of the 8s. So what we're actually doing is 11 eighths divided by 6 eighths, right? Now you don't need common denominators for multiplication division, but here we're going to help us understand what the heck is going on. All right.
Are you ever allowed to change division into multiplication?
Yes, but hang on.
Okay.
You're probably thinking of a trick a 6th grade teacher taught you,
Sure.
or somebody taught you,
Sure.
or you're just ahead of us and awesome, but hang out for just a second.
Okay.
Does everybody understand? The blue is the leftover pizza I have. The white is what I want to take for lunch and see how many times I can actually take lunch this week.
Oh yeah.
Now that they're both dealing like sized in or counting in slices of pizza, right? Each slice is an eighth. This problem is actually a whole lot easier than what we think. You don't need to draw a picture if you don't want. It's actually 11 divided by 6. I have 11 slices of pizza. I want to take 6 with me today. I want to take 6 with me. Oh, sad day. I can only do this once, right? Because 11 divided by 6 is 1 with 5 left over, and the denominator still of 6. So please write this out. We're going to go check out what Madison and Hugh did. Please write that out. Once we get the denominators to match. So guys, another division with fraction strategies. If the denominators match, you really can just divide the numerators. So guys, this will be on the Mastery Friday. What questions do you have?
So that's the answer?
Yeah, 1 and 5/6 is the answer, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why our denominator changed. Is we're actually grouping by 6 slices of pizza, right? Because that's what we're dealing with, yeah?
Okay, so how do you change it to multiplication?
Hey, so I'm going to assume that this won't embarrass her. Araya is the one mastery in this room. Notice how she's asking the most questions. Sorry to put the spotlight on you like that. But Araya's never afraid to ask questions. And like I saw her asking a second question in a row and kind of like had that like, well, nobody else is asking it. Like, but that, like, no offense meant for anything, but like she asked a bunch of questions. She got a mastery on the test. Like, that's not a coincidence. Sorry, what was that second question?
How do you change it to multiplication?
So we will do that on the next example. So let's look at what Madison and Hugh got. So Madison said, if I change this to 11/8, then I change it. Oh, Madison did what we did. Sweet. Madison did what we did. She said, I change it all into how many slices, and then I have to do 11 divided by 6. Hugh used what's called the supergiant.
Yay! Yeah, that all counts.
Get the tomatoes.
Drop the mic.
Burn it at the stake.
Burn the
Did
wick.
I say you have to use this?
Yeah.
So quiet coyote your complaints.
I remember that.
Chill.
No, that was a long one.
Now, we're going to talk through the supergiant one once, and I'm never going to make you use it again. Now, if your homework says use the supergiant one, you don't have to. You have to use the method we're going to talk about here in just a second. Reciprocal multiplication, which was on your test last week. Multiplying by a reciprocal does what, like if I have 3/4, come on, and I multiply it by 4/3, what happens?
Just one.
It's 1, right? Always a fraction multiplied by its reciprocal is 1. And reciprocal, refliprical, all we do is flip the fraction. You have some people not with me, and you're going to wish that you were, because this is going to make your life easier, especially on 137 that you couldn't do. So, Hugh, let's look through his work and then look at how we write it easier. I'm not going to make you write his work, but I need you looking up here. Miss Schaefer, please and thank you. So 11/8 divided by 3/4. He took this. Sorry, that's division. And wrote it vertically into a complex fraction. A fraction within a fraction. And actually fractions in a fraction. Is everyone okay with how we got to here, that we can write division as a fraction? It's kind of messy, but he's allowed to do that. All good. Now, Hugh said, you know what? I don't like dividing by fractions because, So, instead of dividing by fractions, he didn't really have it, he just said, I'm going to make what we divide by turn into 1. Give me your eyes, give me your eyes, give me your eyes. So if the denominator was 3/4 and he wants to turn it into a 1, he multiplies the denominator by 4/3, which makes it turn into 1. But since he did it to the denominator, he has to do it to the numerator, which really then, I don't know, I was going to make up some other name, but another classmate walks up and they're like, hey, bro, since what you did on the bottom, maybe it was Nick, because if I said, hey, bro, it kind of sounds like Nick, said, hey, bro, this is all unnecessary. You know that you're just going to get to 1. So, you know, this classmate keeps saying, so bro, all you really have to do is do 11/8 times that reciprocal of the fraction, which we are going to formalize in a method. Where are we? Please, for one more time, write out 11/8 divided by 3/4 for one more time. Now here is your silver bullet, your your secret passageway, opposite of trapdoor, secret passageway to get where you need to be a whole lot faster. Not Kentucky Fried Chicken. Keep, change, flip. If you need to write that out, please write out keep, change, flip. And there are other ones, like keep, change, multiply, or keep, flip, multiply, I don't know, different little tricks. But KCF is the easiest. Yeah, KCC, keep, change, change. What that means is your first fraction does nothing. We change division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction. The other reason why this works, multiplication is the inverse operation of division. 4/3 is the reciprocal of 3/4. By changing division into multiplication, we essentially flip what's going on. So because we flipped what's going on, we have to flip something else to make things go back to right. And this becomes 44 over 8/16, 24, which is 1 and 20 44ths. No, 24ths, my bad. 20 24ths. Which comes out to be 1 and 5/6. Keep, change, flip is the easy. Now, here's why at the WEC I was so nervous. When I was taught this, I was taught keep, change, flip, multiply through your life is easy. And no one ever taught me how to split up my leftovers. What? Nobody ever taught me that. How does this work? We're changing the size, we're changing the denominator, we're changing what we're talking about because we're regrouping what is already broken up, right? We have like mixed number, it's broken into pieces, and we're changing the size of those pieces. We're now making leftover lunches that have 3/4 of the pizza or 6 slices in them. That's how that denominator changed. So let's try this keep, change, flip with these two problems. So write these down real quick, and then I'm going to use some space to do them down here. We have 4/5 divided by 1/2. Now realize that is not cut in half. That's divided by half. And what that really means is if I had 4/5 to give to half of the group, what will I need for the whole group? Well, if that is for half of the group, to get the whole group, we need to double. So we keep, change, flip, and we actually get 8/5. Please do that next one on your own while I pass some stuff out. Hopefully I don't just pass out. That would be bad.
That would be really bad.
Yep. finish the afternoon. So that was just for this class.
Can I know who the exemplary is? Will you tell me?
No, but if they tell me that they don't care, then I can announce it.
Whom's is the exemplary?
Well, they don't have it back yet. Nobody has their test back yet. Why, you want to know who did better than you?
No.
Hey, Rhea, the only reason you didn't get exemplary is count those terms.
I know. Wait.
I'm one row off.
Is it free?
Is it free? What? No.
What?
Terms are split by addition and subtraction.
Oh, there's 4.
There's 4.
Got it. Dang. One and a half.
So now that you know keep, change, flip, going back to 137 on the Kosher should be a whole lot easier. Now, keep, change, flip only works though. What'd you notice you had to do first in this? Make it improper. We have to use improper to be able to keep, change, flip. You have to use improper to keep, change, flip. And Logan doesn't know what class he's in.
I have the answers. Can I say them?
You got to walk me through the whole thing. What's 2.5 become?
Okay, so well, I changed it to become an improper fraction.
Yeah.
So it was 5/2 and multiplied by 4.
Good morning, Olivia Price.
Oh, yeah.
Come to the office.
I write everything
Olivia
out.
Price to the office, please. Thank you.
And then that equaled 20/6.
So guys, I often do my math vertically, but when multiplying fractions, go horizontally. Make your life easy. 5 times 4,
20/6.
2 times 3.
Simplified, it would be 10/3.
Ooh, 10/3.
And then it'll be 2.
Oh, you are right. More than 2 whole.
2 and
Nope.
1/3.
More than 2. 3 and 1/3.
Oh!
3, 6, 9.
3 and 1/3. There you go.
I bought it at a warehouse sale. My wife was looking for kitchen chairs, which she found. Some chairs for our kitchen. Yeah. I mean, what I like is that I can adjust it to the height that I want. I also have a new chair for anybody that wants help from me. I brought my other drum throne in, which is amazingly different than the drum throne that we have. So why do we divide by fractions? Realistic situations. Seriously, when we plan your canteens and we decide we each kid get 1 slice of pizza, 2 slices of pizza, 3 slices of pizza, we have math problems to do. So we are going to buy a 4-foot party set, right? One of those mammoth sandwiches. Yeah, like seriously 4 feet long. I take a measuring tape with me and I make sure.
You make sure.
So
You have to make sure.
the servings are going to be cut into 3/5 of a foot. And guys, I worked with Jimmy John's. We seriously did math like this.
Mayonnaise.
So 4 feet divided by 3/5. Now, some of us did this wrong on the mastery, which I kind of want to talk about a couple problems on that, so keep that accessible. Don't put it deep away yet. To turn 4, flip to the back of your mastery. To turn 4 into a fraction, what number goes on bottom of it? 1. Everybody look at 4b. If you got 4b wrong, you probably put 2/2 instead of 2/1. When a number becomes a fraction, it's over 1. So this would become 4/1 times 5/3, 20/3 servings, right, which is 6 2/3. So they'll be able to make a little over 6 sandwiches out of that 4-foot-long giant party set. This is why we divide by fractions. So real quick look at that mastery. If you are progressing, which is pretty much everybody, you want to come, and actually I'll just pass these out, and get one of these half sheets, because you shouldn't need a full sheet of graph paper. So please do your corrections on this half sheet, whether you turn it vertically or horizontally is up to you. If you need the back, use the back. Yeah, so whatever you missed, just re-solve those problems. If you need to come get help from me, I'm happy to help you. If you want to work with other people, that is fine. You are absolutely right. These aren't hole punched, and they're slightly bigger than normal paper, which is why I'm starting to cut these in half. Yo, peeps, one last announcement, then I'll get you out of here. I'm going to cut all of this awkward one-sided graph paper in half. If you want any of it ever, like to do revisions or stuff like that, it'll be in the Dunder Mifflin drawer, or the Michael Scott Paper Company drawer. Because we guarantee satisfaction, because your satisfaction is our guarantee. Other things to talk about. On 1, minus a negative becomes plus a positive, right? Take away bad guy is like add good guy. In 3, if there's 1 negative, it stays negative when you're multiplying. If there's 1 negative when we're doing addition or subtraction, you have to just solve it. Figure out which one wins and by how much. You should be listening to me looking at the test right now. On 5, same things. If there's 1 negative, it doesn't pair, it stays negative. And then 6 was all reciprocals. You either knew reciprocals or you didn't. And if you didn't know it, then go look it up. It's in the book. We had a math notes box about it. I think it was even on one of your blue sheets. I gotta get you the language arts. If you grab the shapes template, please put it back. Oh, 4C really quick. Hold on. You're gonna want to write this down because almost all of us missed this. This is really funny. You're gonna be mad at me. And honestly, I'm okay with you being mad at me, but we did this in class. 4C. If you got it wrong, you're going to want to pay attention right now. When we did this in class, what we talked about was forget the decimals. Do the math, then count how many decimal places. So 416, if I double 416, it's 832. Then we count decimal places. 1, 2, 3, or 3, but that's French. So 3 decimal place. Oh, I've got 3. Boom. Done. That's the answer to 4C. You didn't need to do anything except for double 416 and count decimal places. Some of you, I literally wrote, you tried way too hard.
I got into like the
It is in the thousands, right? So no, you didn't. Did you have to? No.
I did. There you go.
Counting in French is really fun. Like their words just sound more fun than most.
It sounds more proper.
Yeah, right. Now counting in German is aggressive. 1, 2, 3.
You marked this wrong. It's not 10, 20, 40, 10, 12.
You are correct. I must have been reading too fast. Make sure you don't do it again.